What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com, and welcome back to another Kentucky Derby update. It's almost hard to believe that we've got this one in like one more week, and then we'll actually be Derby season. So kind of crazy when you think of that. I guess I said Derby week, not Derby season. It's been Derby season ever since they finished the Breeders' Cup Classic. All right, though, let's get to the Derby update this week. There was one prep race. It was the Lexington Stakes. It actually was the last Kentucky Derby prep race of the year. I think we've got a contender. Let's talk about him. Encino wins the race. A horse that had been running at Turfway Park, was 2 for 3, won the Battaglia, and then said, okay, we're going to try the dirt. Was entered last week in the Bluegrass. Didn't run. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. I kind of liked him. I kind of thought he had a chance, but anyway, they opt for the Lexington. I stuck with him. I really debated for a while, but I said, no, I'm going to stick with him. If I thought he could run like second or third in the Bluegrass, he should win the Lexington, and he did. He looked really impressive. This is a horse that just went out to the front, and they just sent him, and I loved that about him. And let me back up. I don't really know that they sent him. I just think he broke sharp, and they said, go ahead, take it. Took him gate to wire. Super impressed. A big challenge on the outside from the Wine Stewart. Another horse you better keep an eye out, not for the Kentucky Derby, but I think he's pretty good. He came up, he eyeballed him, Encino dug right in, and a couple of whips, and they kind of showed him the whip down the stretch a little bit. He was gone. So I was impressed with Encino. I don't know, though. He's in the Kentucky Derby now. He was 21st after the race. We had an defection of no more time. That puts Encino in the race. Now, will they run? That's the question. They really kind of sounded like they wanted to go to the Preakness with this horse afterwards. So we kind of got to monitor the situation. But as of right now, he's in. I've got him ranked 7th. I could see him moving up, depending on the post draw, depending on everything that happens before the Derby. I kind of have a feeling they're going to go Preakness with him, but boy, I sure wouldn't hate it if he ran in the Kentucky Derby. I thought it was a very good race. Encino. And look, he's improved every single start so far. First race on the dirt, he improved. So I think the dirt is going to be where we see him the most of the time now. I don't know. I'm pretty high on him. I think he's a pretty darn good horse. I would love to see him in the Kentucky Derby. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It could be the Preakness. If they wait for the Preakness, you've got Encino, you've got the Baffert, probably Muth. I don't know if anybody else will be there or not. Then you got the Derby winner, and then usually that's pretty light after that. So Preakness will be an easier spot, maybe, but you got Muth. So there's a lot to kind of debate there. I don't know what they'll end up doing with him, but at the end of the day, I was very impressed with Encino, winner of the Lexington. All right, let's go to the top 5 now. Number 5, I kept all the same, by the way. The top 5 is last week. Honor Marie, number 5 for me. I think he's going to be flying under the radar. Second in the Louisiana Derby. Last time out, he made that big jump, that big improvement. Really didn't do anything in the Risen Star. Nice improvement in the Louisiana Derby. So I've got him, number 5. Number 4, Forever Young, the unknown horse. He's showed up at Churchill Downs. We're going to analyze his workouts here, there, and everywhere, I'm sure, the next couple of weeks. Can't wait for that as I roll my eyes. But the number 4, Forever Young, I don't think he's a monster like some do, but I do think he will love the Kentucky Derby distance. I think he's been just fine. He compares to the rest of them so far. So I've got him at number 4. Wouldn't be shocked if he runs a big one. Number 3 is Catching Freedom. It's another one that may get a little bit ignored because of the recency factor. We saw him in the Louisiana Derby. That feels like it's been forever ago. We had all those races after the Louisiana Derby, but don't sleep on Catching Freedom. He's pretty darn good. He was a last to first winner of the Louisiana Derby and passed by number 5 horse. Number 2 on the list is Sierra Leone. I think Sierra Leone kind of proved his worth. He won the Risen Star. He won the Bluegrass Stakes. He's beaten the most horses out of anybody in this field. So that's going to be running in the Kentucky Derby. Sierra Leone's beat the most of them, is how I should have said that. But yeah, look, I don't know. His running style is going to be an issue. Recency says bet the closers. Historically, it says the closers have trouble, especially the deep closers. I mean, you can come from mid-pack and win this thing without any doubt, but the Sierra Leone type runners where it's all really stretch running for him, that is a little bit scary. We've also never really seen him kind of weave in and out of traffic. He's probably going to get parked wide. But look, he's a good horse, and he might be good enough to beat this group. I think he's getting better with every race as well. We'll see how he shows up. We'll see what post he gets. And then finally, and to be clear, this top 5 is from a talent perspective. This is not my top 5 for the Kentucky Derby as far as who I'm going to bet or pick. That'll come later. Don't worry, we'll get to it. But I'm not dare putting my name on a horse right now when we don't even know what posts they're getting. We don't know really, honestly, if they're even going to run. So, but anyway, from a talent perspective, I have number one Fierceness again. And look, I think it's hard to argue he has the most talent. It's also hard to argue that you know what he's going to do from race to race. I could not give you any guess how he's going to run in the Kentucky Derby. He could very well show up and be a world beater. And if the best Fierceness shows up, they're not going to beat him. He could very well finish 20th, and he will if the Holy Bull Fierceness shows up, or if the Champagne Fierceness shows up, he will run last. I mean, I'm confident in saying that. And you just got to look at the horses that beat him in the Holy Bull, and you can be like, yeah, if he runs like he did in the Holy Bull, he will run last in the Kentucky Derby. And he feels like an all or nothing play for me. He's honestly a really tough decision, one of the tougher decisions I've had to make for a Derby. I've been doing this, unfortunately, a long time now, getting older for sure, but he's a tricky one. He's definitely a tricky one for me. So we'll kind of see what happens with him. But he's fun as well. I mean, if he shows up and runs huge, he's going to get a lot of people talking. So Fierceness, number one from a talent perspective. So number 5, Honor Marie. Number 4, Forever Young. Number 3, Catching Freedom. Number 2, Sierra Leone. And number 1, Fierceness. Well, let's preview what's happening this week. There are no races coming up, but workout madness will begin. Look, there's nothing to analyze, so people are going to just start focusing all on the workouts here. They're going to start at Churchill Downs locally. They'll be happening all over the country as well, but it's going to heat up at Churchill. People are going to start watching them and analyzing and overanalyzing every single move these horses make. So that's what we have to look forward to, not only this week, but next week. You're going to see those horses start to work out, and it just gets crazier and crazier as more of them show up, and that hype really starts. Who's this year's wow, he's working great, can't believe how good this horse looks type of horse? I'm going to take a guess on it right now. I think, oh boy, this is tough because I think Dornoch will be a horse that people will go crazy over once he starts working out over the surface. I think naturally they want to make a case for him because his races this year certainly haven't, so they got to make a case somewhere. So I think Dornoch will be one that'll get a lot of hype. This is just total guesses, by the way. I don't know how you're going to look at Sierra Leone and not love him. I mean, we saw him in the Bluegrass. He is a gorgeous, gorgeous racehorse. He's going to turn a lot of heads. There's no doubt about it when he gets to that local surface. And of course, I think Forever Young, people will go ape shit over once he starts working out at Churchill. That's just a natural thing. Seems like every time the UAE Derby horse comes over, they sprout wings in the stretch, according to some, and I think so. Forever Young, Sierra Leone, Dornoch, I bet those are 3 that really get a lot of hype. I bet one that doesn't is Fierceness. He's tiny. He's a tiny little horse, and I think people will kind of see that, up into the microscope, basically, when he shows up at Churchill Downs. So I wouldn't suspect to see rave reviews about Fierceness. But some of these other ones, I definitely think you're gonna hear a lot of hype as they get going. That's kind of my prediction on that. All right, that'll do it for this week. I will be back next week. I know we don't really have any race to kind of go over next week. What a weird feeling, right? We've been doing this since December, and every week it seems like we're talking about something new. Next week will be more like, okay, here's what these people are saying about these workouts, and here's who's defected. Honestly, that'll be the next kind of story too. Who's going to actually run and who's going to start to drop out. So that'll be kind of what we continue to kind of follow here as we are in crunch time. Last couple of weeks before the Kentucky Derby, we know the field of 20. If it was run today, that will change, and we know that for sure. So we'll keep you covered for every bit of news, and we'll cover that next week as far as throughout the week as well. All right, guys, that'll do it for the Kentucky Derby update this week. Thanks everybody for watching. Hit that like button if you like it. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, tune back in next week. That's right. We'll do it again for another Kentucky Derby update.